still do 7 NUFC Matters shows for free a week. But if you want to support the channel, there are a few ways of doing it. Hit the like button on each live broadcast or video. This helps the channel grow. Hit the subscribe button and select the all notifications option. Hit the thanks button to buy a super sticker. You can do this on the live chat too. You can also join our Patreon page or buy us a coffee at the link in all of our video descriptions below. We are also looking for sponsors. If you want our latest advertising rates and how you can get involved, then email John at nufcmatters1892@gmail.com. Thanks for watching.
Critics attack. It feels like I've been talking to myself again. But it's the only way you're ever gonna learn. You look back and it's all in the past. I'm dwelling on the thoughts I cannot say to you. If I don't say the words, then maybe it's not true.
And it feels alright when they come and say to you, you're the only thing that makes us all believe. And it feels alright where the roads collide. Manipulation stands to make us break.
What's that you said coming over you? You wish it upon a star. You wish it on a star. You are, you are, you are. You fight back, it's an all-out attack. It feels like I've been taken on the world's machine. Because I want it more than anyone can dream. You look back and it's all in the past. You tell me how you live by all the things you do. Well, you can be yourself, but maybe I'm not you.
And it feels alright when they come and say to you, you're the only thing that makes us all.
Good afternoon, welcome along to NUFC Matters. It is the Joe Allen Show. We will be looking ahead to the Joe Allen Derby a little bit later on. Newcastle taking on Brentford in the Premier League. But first of all, Joe, welcome. How are you?
Very well, Steve. Very well. Yourself, my son. How are you?
All good, mate. All good. Enjoying a little bit of sunshine and a little bit of warmer weather. And looking forward to seeing you tonight at the match. But first things first, let's look back at a wonderful weekend, Joe. The parade, what did you make of it?
Well, just one word, superb. You know, Steve, I mean, I was in the centre of town at 1 o'clock with all, you know, everything pointing towards being as close as I could as possible when the bus come round the corner halfway up there where the bus stops are opposite Hippie Green. And the amount of people there, I just made a designated decision, turn around, go home, watch it on the telly. I managed to see the bus come around the corner. And again, the emotion, just joy of the people that was around us, you know, like it was great. It was lovely, you know. And I got back home to see everything. That's obviously every television station these days has got a platform to put it on, and we seen best part of it, you know, and it was just all round brilliant, but just overwhelmed for the fans, you know. And I mean, they started saying 150,000, 200,000. I'm hearing it today it was closer to 300,000, you know, all in all. And that just shows you, you know, the pull of it and how important it was to everybody. But most importantly, you know, I've said that the players will go down in folklore. And I've said the manager will and his team, you know, behind him. But I've said numerous occasions, managers will come and go, players will come and go, owners will come and go. but them fans are there for life. They're there forever. And it was all about them. And I just thought everything that was done on the day was so tasteful. Just wish it had been a little bit better weather for the fans.
I mean, amazing numbers. We'll never know the full amount, but 300,000, I think, is what most people wanted to go with. Some saying that that's close to the population of Newcastle, and in fact, some clever bugger on Twitter said 300,100 was the capacity of Newcastle in the 2021 census. Where the hell were that other 100 people? Which is funny. But I mean, we're obviously looking at new stadiums. Does that say anything about the support? Do you think that means that, maybe the club might look at that and go, well, actually, if we were considering 65, maybe it should be 70, maybe it should be 75?
I can only go from, I played for 9 clubs, as you know, Steve. And the most important, whether it's a town or a city or the football club that you've got, the most important thing is to have a winning team. If you've got a winning team, stadia get more fuller. The crowds come from everywhere to see you. But the most important thing is when you're winning and you're winning cups. Oh, my God, the clamour to watch a game then. Of course, there's every possibility of getting more thousands on the gate, and rightly so, And I can understand about the stadium and the new stadium and the thoughts behind that. But at the same time, I'm an old romantic. I love St James's Park, and I want St James's Park to be increased a little bit first, But if it has to be a new stadium, close as possible to St James's Park, given the chance of more supporters being present to watch the team and support the team, then fair enough with that, I'll go along with that as well.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think, a new stadium is inevitable, but, I just think 70,000 would be about right, and a little bit more, room for extension if needed. But, great parade. Great to see Eddie Howe as well. Get recognised, that wonderful flag, which we've seen before in the ground, of course, being unfurled from the top of Sandman's signature. He was literally gobsmacked at that, Joe, wasn't he?
Yeah, and deservedly so for Eddie. I mean, we've all paid tribute to the job he's done, but remember when he actually took over the club, Steve, he's done a monumental job early doors in his Newcastle United career. And Eddie Howe, he's got it. When he does his interviews, either post-match or pre-match, he's very, very astute. He's a very smart guy, Eddie Howe. And he certainly knows how to manage a football team. And that bloke has produced a lot of great managers that we've had at Newcastle United. On merit, he's produced a trophy, which, what a great remit and what a great, season to have here now, where we're going into this crucial final third,
Yeah. I mean, how do you think with these 10 games to go and the team's going to react? I mean, John Askew asks a question. Champions League next season would be really good, but after the cup triumph, is the pressure off to a large extent? Because Newcastle have got European football. They have got Conference League, Joe. They could lose all 10 games, plummet down the league a little bit, wouldn't get relegated, but they would have European football and a silver trophy in the cabinet. Job done to an extent. But, what's your feelings? How do you think the team will, perform in the next 10 games?
Well, you've got to forget about the Liverpool game straight away, right? And the result and the Wembley occasion and the fact that we won. What you do is you take that game into this next game, because the most important game of the season is tonight. And you go out there and you reproduce that form, right? Because you've just torn apart the champions of our Premier League in this country. You've tore them apart at Wembley, right? But you take that momentum into the match tonight, and yes, you get as high as you possibly can in the league. I'm not bothered whether we're already qualified for Europe. You want to see a winning team and keep on playing like that. There's no reason why they can't keep them standards that they've set. They've set these standards, and there's no reason whatsoever why they can't keep to them standards. And it's about having the attitude, it's having the application, and it's down to Eddie to get his players right in the right frame of mind, which I'm sure he will have by then. But at the same time, you do your talking again now because tonight's match is the most important of the season. And you take that momentum that we got there. And at least you remember as well, you've got a crowd of season ticket holders. We've got fans up and down the country, supporters are worldwide, and they deserve, when they're watching Newcastle United play, to see a performance of 100% effort and grit. And like I said, they destroyed Liverpool, but that's in the past. We're playing Brentford now, and you've got to get on with the next game. You're a professional footballer, and that, unfortunately, is your job. But you know what? It's not a bad bloody job to have, is it?
No, it's definitely not. I mean, Eddie Howe was interviewed at his press conference yesterday. Keith Downey asked him the question, did you give yourself a bit of time off? When did you get back to business? From your perspective, did you give yourself a period of reflection? He went, the next day, he gave yourself 24 hours, he said. He says, I did have a little bit of R&R, but it was 24 hours. And he says, then I was back on it again. He says, first job I did was watch the Liverpool game back, look for where we can improve. And Steve Hasty mentioned on the show on Friday on here, his daughter saw Eddie on the plane when he was heading to Dubai, and he literally on the 7-hour flight sat and was watching different games and doing his job. He's a consummate professional, isn't he? Does it surprise you that he only had 24 hours off, Joe?
Not at all. Not at all. I mean, that's exactly what he is. He's a consummate professional. And at the same time, like I say, level-headed. And what a managerial career he's had at Newcastle United, qualifying for Champions League. But that first season was crucial, that we avoided getting out the crap, because we were in a hole. And we got out of it. And he's built on that, and he's produced for the trophy, So, yeah, let's get this game out the way tonight and let's beat them because we deserve to give them a beating because we got smashed away at Brentford, and that still lingers in my mind. But also after that game, we went on that unbelievable run of the 16 games where 13 victories and 3 defeats. That was a fantastic run. That really was the pivotal point in the whole of our season,
Yeah, we'll look ahead to Brentford a little bit later on. Want to talk a little bit about contracts now. Questions coming in the chat as well. Keep them coming in.
Are you on about my contract with Enough Matters?
Your contract, yeah. I mean, look, from our perspective, some of these players are, coming towards the end of that contract this season, Joe. Fabian Shaw was one of them, coming to the end of a contract. Yesterday, Eddie revealed at the press conference that he has more or less signed a new deal. What's your thoughts on that, first of all?
Well, it's great that the club have committed to Eddie and Eddie's committed to the club. That's fabulous. But at this time of the season, Steve, it's invariable that players are going to come and players are going to go. I mean, invariably as well, you've also got players that have been on 4, 5, 6-year contracts was never heard of in my day. Them type of contracts. So if their contracts are all coming together and they're coming to fruition at a time when decisions have got to be made, decisions have to be made. It's got to be players that are coming into the football club that's going to improve your squad, a la the way Kevin Keegan used to do it. It was no disrespect to any player that got left out or got a contract denial, if you like, or he wasn't getting an improved contract. But it was no disrespect to them players. They'd done their service in the manager's opinion. And that's who counts, the manager. The manager's opinion on what sort of a squad he's going to take into next season to build on next season and improve on what you've done this season. So there's going to be, ups and downs, and along the way there's going to be casualties. But at the same time, it's the football club that's got to move forward, and that's got to happen. Changes are inevitable.
Yeah, certainly are. Alexander Isak, of course, he's worth his weight in gold as a striker at Newcastle United. Do you think we'll hear about a new contract for him before the end of the season?
Well, I don't know what Isak's got left on his current contract.
He's got a long time. He's got a long time.
So I wouldn't have thought the club would be really bending over, when they've got him tied down to give him more money. I mean, the thing is, to keep him hungry on this, what he's got, you might get a thing where there's a little bit more incentive. I mean, I used to get goals bonus, and nobody used to know about that apart from me and the chairman, because I didn't want to let players know that. But it used to be a thing where I would take a chunk of me signing on fee and say, give us double of that and give us the incentive. If I score goals for you, I get rewarded that way. And if I'm getting rewarded by scoring goals, the football club's getting rewarded. Whoever I was playing for at the time, it wasn't a mercenary thing. It was done to do it as a way of, there was a carrot, in front of the donkey's nose. And hey, I was a donkey a few times as well.
3 years left in June, according to Geordie Timberlake for Isaac. I knew it was something like that, but that's interesting. To hear that's what he's got left. Yeah, I definitely think Darren Eales did come out and say that they would be looking at the contract and hopefully offering a new one. And John, that answers your question. What about Eddie though? He says, do you think Eddie? I mean, Eddie again. Does he deserve to be rewarded for success?
Definitely. I thought you'd said there that he'd signed a contract, Eddie.
Fabian Shaw had signed a new one.
Oh, sorry. I do apologise. Oh, no. I think Eddie, I mean, I don't know what Eddie's got. What's Eddie got? 2 years left.
Geordie Toon for Life. I'm not Googling it, so if you can let us know.
Oh, Geordie Toon for Life. Where are you?
Yeah.
No, but I mean, again, it's where you give an incentive to the manager. He wants to know how much he's going to spend. He wants to know his budget. That's only fair to find out about the PS carry on and all that. But also, you say to Eddie, if we get to this stage in such and such competition, if we can bring a trophy in, we'll give him incentives that way, because he's not preparing the team to fail. You don't go out there preparing to play badly and preparing to fail. You go out there to win every game that you can, but at the same time, that incentive as well, that hunger, you've got to give him a little bit something where, you've got to keep it a little bit fresh sometimes, because, we all know, Steve, the scaremonger tactics of some radio stations, and whatever, when Eddie was, when the football club, shall we say, was on a little dicky spell, just before Christmas, before we went on that magnificent run, they were saying, oh, Eddie Howe's under threat if he loses this game. I've never heard so much bollocks in my life. But at the same time, you get the scaremongers there, and then you also get the ones that are saying, like, he's going to get the England job, and yet apparently he never got an interview for it. So, you've got to keep things fresh like that. You've got to get things based in, saying, listen, you've got a chance to be England manager, but if the fact comes, if you're going to be an England manager and you're going to leave Newcastle United, the Football Association are going to have to pay that much money to get you, to really be able to get a replacement for Eddie of an equal standing. Is there a manager, an English manager, knocking about an equal standing to Eddie Howe? Definitely not, in my opinion. Is there a foreign manager to come in and be of equal standing or better than Eddie Howe? One, I don't know. Two, have we got the money to give that? So at the same time now, you didn't mend something that's not broken, and the managerial position at the minute and his staff is not broken, so we don't need to mend it. So yes, I would say get Eddie a new contract on the table, but give him some incentives. Get him some incentives to keep him hungry, and fend off with incentives the FA so he can't be poached.
Howe signed a new contract last year, 4 years, I believe. Thank you, Geordie Toon for Life.
Why didn't we have Geordie Toon for Life this morning? He could have said all this.
John Askew says, is Joe confident of a good summer window? If we get it right next season, it could be really canny, especially with the Reds likely to lose 3 key players, of course, Van Dijk, Trent Arnold and Salah.
Well, definitely. I mean, let's face it, Newcastle United fans, right, have been it's been like the Sahara Desert, the transfer window that we've had for the last 3 or 4 times, so we deserve to bring some new players in, some new blood for the football club. I've always said that we're short of numbers. You get 2 or 3 injuries at Newcastle United, and it is a little bit of a crisis. I mean, you remember when we've had 6, 7, 8 injuries, and we're putting out a scratch side every week. And it's not good enough for a club as big as Newcastle United. You need strength and depth. You need numbers. You need people putting the ones that's got the shirt under pressure, knocking on the manager's door and saying, I want to be in this team. I want to be a part of this team, and busting a gut to get in there, which is good competition, and that's what you want at the football club. But you need a good pool of players. And Eddie's really done he's done wonders on the squad that he's had, because you know how injuries affect us, and it's not just the 5 and 6 week injuries that we seem to get. We seem to be getting 9 months to a year injuries, and vital players at the football club, and we've still managed now to come and produce a bit of silverware. So it definitely needs more numbers, and we need more people coming through at the football club as well. That's got to be addressed. The whole football club's got to be addressed in what recruitment happens. And that recruitment's got to start from the bottom all the way to the top.
Yeah, okay. Tom Dixon put a question in earlier. He said, I can't see anyone catching Forest now. I think they've got Champions League football. I mean, it's starting to, to get to the business end of the season. 10 games left, 10 cup finals. Newcastle, a couple of games in hand now after the cup final, and games obviously played last night. Nottingham Forest beating Manchester United first and foremost. They've had a wonderful season, Joe.
They've been brilliant. I mean, I love the manager. I loved the manager when he was manager of Wolverhampton Wanderers. Always impressed us. Very level-headed, and he's got a fantastic squad that he's got together himself. They're fighting for their places. I mean, honestly, I've seen chops and changes by this manager, and he's not scared to leave big players out, players that were in the England squad. He's not bothered, And this is another thing that Newcastle United have got to do. They've got to prepare to win a game. If that's preparing to win a game differently by having different personnel, then so be it. You've got to do that. It's a horses for courses thing, But Nottingham Forest, far and away. I mean, it does give us a little bit of a foul-mouthed taste when I see Elliot Anderson playing so well for them after, he had to overcome a massive thing to get in Nottingham Forest's first team. But he's in there on merit now, and he's been in there since well before Christmas, leaving out one of Nottingham Forest's true home heroes in Yates, who actually, when he does play Yates, he gets the captaincy. He's that important to the club, Nottingham Forest. But Elliot's went there, and he's been absolutely brilliant. He's a player, again, that we had to sacrifice through these laws that come on. And I'm pleased that he's doing well, because he deserves to do well. But I'll tell you what, there's nobody more than Elliot Anderson wishes he was doing it in black and white.
Yeah, 100%. So, Nottingham Forest beating Manchester United 1-0 last night. A wonderful goal, actually. If you haven't seen it, I'm sure you'll catch up with it on Match of the Day tonight. Man City as well, of course, chasing Champions League. They've managed to get into the FA Cup semi-final at Wembley, rather spawnily, luckily, whatever you want to call it, but they're there and thereabouts. Could end up having a bad season, winning a trophy and finishing in the Champions League places. But we'll wait and see, because they have lost Erling Haaland. He's injured. Going to miss 6 or 7 games. That's the back end of the season almost taken away from Erling Haaland. Is that gonna affect Manchester City and their hopes?
Well, I talk about pundits, and sometimes I just shake my head when they say it. Erling Haaland crisis. He's had a crap season. I think the last goal that he scored on Saturday, that was his 30th he'd scored this season in all competitions. What a crap season, Erling. I feel sorry for your son. When you have a good season, how many are you going to get? Jesus, man. Yes, Erling Haaland will weaken any side, because he's up there where he's at as regarding goals for games ratio. When he's on, Man City's on. A little bit like when Isak's on for us, because he's got to come out tonight as well and show that attitude that he showed against Liverpool at Wembley, and start closing down with the effort that he did. Because when he plays like that, he's one of the best strikers in the whole world, Steve. And Isak can set the ball rolling from that press, if you like, from the front, that gives everybody else the momentum to carry on. And then the defenders push the midfield on, the midfield pushes the forwards on, the wide players on, and all of a sudden this high press comes, and it all starts from defending from the front,
John Askew says, I'm hoping Lascelles signs up again. Underrated, in my opinion. And with the young fullbacks and Kraft defensive, we should be okay, but get some creativity side. I think, for me, I think Lascelles, his time's coming to an end at Newcastle. He's been a wonderful servant. He's, much admired in that dressing room because of what he did in the past. I'm not sure whether he's capable of playing Premier League football. And there can't be any room for sentimentality for me in this kind of decision. And I think it would probably suit Lascelles as well, going out on top, from his perspective, being allowed, open the podium along with Kieran Trippier and Bruno to lift that trophy would have been special to him. And I think that's a great place for maybe Jamaal Lascelles' last, story to finish at Newcastle.
Yeah, the thing is about Lascelles is he's been out for a hell of a long time. And as a footballer and knowing him, like the way that he is, he'll want to play football. Will he be our first choice centre half? No, he'll not be. So if he's going to further his career and want to play more games, he's going to have to leave. And like you say, sentiment in football lasts 2 minutes. Honestly, it's as simple as that. You're here today and you're gone tomorrow. It's a business. It's always been a business. I mean, Jesus, I was so loyal. I had 9 clubs.
Halfway through the show, time for the ads.
A big thanks to all our sponsors, Skips and Bins. You can find them at their website, skipsandbins.com. Contact them, www.skipsandbins.com/contact. Say hello to low-cost waste disposal with pay-as-you-go and contract waste management. A big thanks to Mr. Vicky's Sauces, handmade in Cumbria. You can find them at their website, mrvickys.co.uk. Email them, info@mrvickys.co.uk, or telephone 01768 210 102. Thanks to our fanzine sponsor, United Group Travel. 3-star plus quality hotels, no interchanges, hot and cold snacks and drinks available on the coach, all excursions included. Their website, www.unitedgrouptravel.com. Email beverly.ugtl@gmail.com. Telephone 01670 632 460 or mobile 0791 666 4174. There are no strangers on our tours, just friends you haven't met yet, and it's just £30 per person deposit. A big thanks to Media Arts for all the technical side of things. You can find them at their website, media-arts.co.uk. And if you listen to us on podcast, you can find us at Sport Social Podcast Network. You can also find us on iTunes, Spotify, and other podcast providers. If you want to help the channel, you can subscribe to the channel. Just hit the subscribe button underneath this video, hit the thumb up, which is the like button, or join the channel. You can also visit our website, nufcmatterspodcast.co.uk, and take out a lifetime membership for £25, which gets you a pen, a badge, a key ring, a beer mat, a fridge magnet, and also your membership card and entry into the monthly draw. There's some Newcastle United events coming up. Friday the 23rd of January sees Chris Waddle and Peter Beardsley at the Tyne Theatre. Tickets available 0844 249 1000 or website tynetheatreandoperahouse.uk. Some summer events to come up as well. An evening with John Beresford takes place at the Crown Plaza on Friday the 25th of July, 7:30 till 10:30. Tickets by hitting that QR code. And NUFC Matters end of season party takes place on the 27th of June. Steve Howe and Steve Watson will be in attendance and will be hosted by Joe Allon at the Tyneside Irish Centre. Tickets available from nufcmatters.co.uk or by going onto Voucher. And we are raising money for Age UK North Tyneside Dementia. On Saturday the 9th of August, Northern Horizon, the Blake 7 convention takes place at the Tyneside Irish Centre. Tickets available from nufcmatters.co.uk. Come along and meet the likes of Jan Chappell, Sally Navette, Brian Croucher, and Sasha Mitchell. Don't forget as well, we have limited edition copies of The Entertainers signed by Peter Beardsley and Lee Clark. Available now from newcastlelegends.com.
And we have got tickets left at the City Hall for Sir Les, which takes place this Sunday, 12 to 4. Get yourself along to meet one of the legendary number 9s of Newcastle United and part of the iconic entertainers. As I say, the event starts at 12, finishes at 4 in the afternoon. This coming Sunday, tickets available from Ticketmaster for that one. And big thank you for this that's been sent by Paul Anthony Turner from the parade. He says, without doubt, this is the photo of the day. This woman was standing for ages, then someone got her a seat and wrapped her up in a blanket. She's a legend, and so are the Newcastle fans. And this is coming from an Arsenal fan. Massive respect. You can just see right in the centre there, there's a lady who has got a stick. And apparently she was in the crowd with her husband in 1955, the last time that Newcastle United won a domestic trophy. And she wanted to get out in the streets and show her support at the weekend. That
She's standing next to you.
No, I wasn't there. I was in London. Fantastic, though. Really good stuff. Thank you for sending that. What a great week we've had looking at all of that. It's been absolutely great. Some wonderful stuff circulating on the internet as well. And just all positivity, all real positivity for Newcastle United, which is all we've ever wanted. John posted this earlier. With great seasons for Forest and Villa, the tune and a new chapter commencing at Everton. Is a changing of the guard underway, do you think, Joe?
Well, I mean, let's face it, these clubs are there on merit. You know, they've done brilliantly well. But I'd like to know the difference in how much they've all spent compared to what we've spent, you know, because I'd really like to have a look. After Tonali, I can't remember any. Isaac before Tonali, who else? I don't know. But I know for a fact that Villa are going to sign Marcus Rashford. They're going to have to break the bank to get him, because Manchester United is certainly want to get some of his 350 grand a week that he's been getting for sitting on his arse for the last 2 years. That back, and they'll be wanting a sizable transfer fee. As regarding Forest, you know, he's done miracles. Like I said before, you know, the manager there, in a transfer market with Elliot Anderson probably being the most that he's outlaid, I would have thought. I don't know. I don't look at them clubs in the same way as I look at Newcastle, but I'd really like to see what the differentials are between us and the rest of them. But there again, we just get on with it, you know, and we get on with it with what we've got. And certainly, if we've got our strongest squad with additions, I think we can be a force to be reckoned with anybody in the league, especially with the way that we play. On occasions, we're a match for anybody in the country. It's as simple as that. Yeah.
Interesting question here from Gaz. He says, what's people's thoughts about the story saying that Colette Roche from Man U's favourite to replace Darren Eales? Now, she is currently at Manchester United. She's a CEO, and apparently she's on the wish list at Newcastle. Peter Silverstone apparently rates her quite highly, according to a report in the Chronicle this week. Roche apparently was appointed as Man United's first ever female chief operating officer when she joined the Old Trafford club in 2018. She joined Man United from Manchester Airport after a stint as managing director. It's interesting to see, you know, potentially Newcastle now going for Colette Roche after Manchester United made such a public move for our sporting guy back in last summer, Dan Ashworth, who we had to put on gardening leave.
Well, I know that Colette's husband Ferrero was very good at Christmas as well, you know. So I mean, it was like, you know, it was just like the chocolate coming to the top. But no, there's of course you're going to get business people. I mean, we had Amanda Staveley, let's face it, you know, and she was unbelievable for Newcastle United. So, you know, business brains and things like that, you know, it doesn't always have to be a male world. So, well, remains to be seen, you know. But at the end of the day, you know, when you're getting linked with people that have got reputations like that, it's all right having the reputations. I mean, Ashworth left us, by the way, and made a pig's ear of it at Man United. So, you know, it's all about doing it and letting your work do your talking.
Yeah, 100%. Mark says, I'm sure she used to work at an airport. She should get us flying.
Aye, well, there you go. I mean, I want to know about Steve Hastie's daughter, if she's going to grass to find out what Eddie was watching. What matches was he watching on the plane?
No, got to keep your mouth shut. We don't want to give any plans away. Getting back to the parade, the media again had their say. Joe Hart has hit back at the haters. Fair play to him. He said that when Man City won the League Cup for the first time and broke Man City's trophy drought, that Manchester City's fans, and players celebrated accordingly. And he was patting Newcastle fans on the back and said, it's great, it's great to see, it's mind-blowing, etc. Bizarrely, Jamie O'Hara slammed the celebrations. He said that the Carabao Cup used to be called the Dog and Duck Cup. And he also said that Newcastle were acting like they'd won the Premier League and the Champions League. What did you think about that?
Well, you just said Jamie O'Hara. I mean, he's as thick as a whale omelette. You know what I mean? I'm not being funny, but I wouldn't be taking any notice of him and what he says. I mean, I can't remember him. You want to ask Jamie O'Hara to ask Chris Waddle and Peter Beardsley what was it like to play in 2 World Cups, and then he might be able to get an opinion on things like that, Oh, and there's another one that played midfield called Gascoigne. Ask him about it. No, it's the one thing about all the press and all this stuff and all that. There's one word. It's called jealousy. Just because we did it better than anybody else. It's as simple as that. And because the fans have got that much passion. I will say, by the way, the whole highlight of the weekend for me was our mercurial, the King, Alan Shearer, when he got interviewed off Antodeck. I don't know what one it was, the big and or the little one. But I know when he turned around and they said, you've had these open top bus celebrations before, Alan. What was it like? And he went, embarrassing. Because we didn't win anything. And that's how much it meant to him to say that. And in the next sentence he said, and these should have been so proud to do this open top bus and to have them celebrations, including the town mower, because of one reason, for the fans. And he come out and said, like he did, because he's one of them. I thought that was brilliant.
Yeah, Mark Byers has got an opinion on Jamie O'Hara. I'll let people read it. I'll not read it out. Thank you, Mark.
Is that a fish?
And Gary says, Talk Sport's all about clickbait headlines. I only give McCoy the time of day off that channel. John says we should just try and avoid the negative rubbish. What's it got to do with them? They didn't win it. Clickbait. Exactly. Fair point made.
Jeff Stelling's not bad either, by the way.
No, he's definitely not. And mention of Stockholm Syndrome by John Askew, saying he's got a dodgy feeling about tonight's game. Stockholm Syndrome evaporated at Wembley, John. We don't have it anymore. You've got to forget that. That's moved on. We can't get it anymore. We've got that trophy jinx off our back. A question for Joe from Tom. Do we expect Howe to name the same side that beat Liverpool in the cup final tonight? Or will he change it around, do you think, and play Pope in goal or Dubravka? Lots of questions coming there from Tom. Bear that in mind, because what I'll do is I'll give a quick resume of the game that we've got to look forward to tonight. Newcastle take on Brentford at home. It is 23 days after the 1-0 win at West Ham. Newcastle return to action against Thomas Frank's Bees at Gallagher. It is a 7:45 kickoff. And it's a non-televised game tonight, so you have to wait till the match of the day or Sky's highlights to be able to see the goals go in. This is only the 8th time the two clubs have met in the top flight, and Newcastle have won 5 and drawn 1 of the first 6 before Brentford notched up their first win in West London, which of course was last December, which Joe mentioned earlier. Eddie Howe's side sit 6th in the table at this moment in time on 47 points. Brentford, 6 points and 5 places behind that, and they've played a game more. It's the second meeting of the two sides on Tyneside this season, following Newcastle's 3-1 success in the Carabao Cup quarter-final back in December. Team news, well, Anthony Gordon sits this one out. He is serving his 3rd and final game of his suspension. And while we're talking about suspensions, Joe Linton currently sits on 9 bookings. Dan Burn currently sits on 8 bookings. In order to avoid bans before the end of the season, they've got to avoid reaching 10 yellow cards in the next 4 Premier League fixtures. Getting back to injuries, well, Sven Botman and Lewis Hall remain sidelined following surgery. Sven Botman was reportedly getting through his recovery a lot better than Hall, and we may well see Sven Botman before the end of the season, is what Eddie Howe was saying in his press conference yesterday. Meanwhile, Jamaal Lascelles is doing light training. It didn't sound as positive with Jamaal Lascelles. It has to be said by Eddie. Sounded as if that one might have seen the last of Jamaal in a black and white shirt this season, and who knows, full stop. Botman is on track though, which is great news. As for Anthony Gordon's injury that he got with England, it was bruised hip, we were told, but by Eddie Howe yesterday, he said it was bruising around the groin area. So two completely different stories from the national media and the local media, and then we get the truth from Eddie Howe. But it shouldn't prevent him returning to the squad at Leicester on Monday night. As for Brentford, Michael Coyote returns, but Fabio Cavallo, Matthias Jensen, Aaron Hickey, Rico Henry, Gustavo Nunes, Igor Thiago, and Josh Da Silva will all miss out. On the road, Brentford have done okay since they lost to Chelsea in December. They are unbeaten. They had a 0-0 draw at Brighton, a 5-0 win at Southampton, a 2-1 win at Crystal Palace, a 1-0 win at West Ham, 4-0 win against Leicester City, and a 2-1 win away to Bournemouth. The referee tonight's Peter Banks. It's his third Newcastle game of the season. We've lost the first two this season, a 3-1 Premier League defeat at Fulham and a 1-0 Premier League home loss to Brighton. The good news is that Brentford have also had him twice this season and lost both of their games as well. So nothing to be worried about on that score. VAR, it's Craig Pawson. Don't forget as well that the food bank will be outside the ground at the Gallagher end. And any donations, cash donations that go into the bucket, as usual, will be doubled by our director, Jamie Rubin, who matches all match day donations for every home game, which is fantastic. So, yes, Robert says, afternoon all. I don't know about you guys, but I'm nervous about the upcoming game. I hope the lads are up for it. Big game this, Joe, because it's our next one. It could be an after the Lord Mayor show, but you know what? I think we've got all the celebration out of us, and I think it'll be back to business. I think the lads will be chomping at the bit.
Well, I think so, and why not? You know, I mean, you're coming off the back of a wonderful display. Some people are saying the best display that we had in the season, you know, and it certainly was up there. But the other thing is as well, I would say that he'll probably go with the team that beat Liverpool, that started against Liverpool. He's got this habit, Eddie, of if he can, he'll not change a winning side, you know. But obviously suspensions was a factor in the last time with Gordon and what have you. But that little break as well, I'll give him time to recover. Even if I think if available tonight, he would have still started with the same team because they deserve to start again. You know, the team that played out there. And if it goes, you know, a little bit wrong or by the wayside, you can change it, but you can change it quite quickly. And he hasn't got to be frightened to make them substitutions. That's not just for the sake of a substitution, you know. Don't just put 3 on because we're playing crap and break 3 on to put 3 off. You know, you do it like on a merit sort of thing, you know. Have a bit of thought about it. Whereas substitutes work for you or they don't. You're either praised of being a messiah and a hero if you've got the foresight to make the right change. At the end of the day, Steve, it's all luck. It's all luck. It's like if a player comes on, he's in the right place at the right time. That's the way it works, you know. But, you know, I would have started with the same team that started against Liverpool, including the goalkeeper, just because the fact that it's a winning side and they deserve the right after the way that they played against them, because the match was won for me in the first 45 minutes, you know, at Wembley. And that's great to go back into that as well. And just, I don't know if we've got time later on to talk about Dan in England, because I never had a chance.
No, go on, do it now. Go do it now, Joe, because I
just wanted to congratulate Dan tonight. Yeah, sorry, Paul. I just wanted to congratulate Dan, you know, because the thing was, he got picked for these 2 games, right? And albeit I've heard all the criticism of the press for him and all the rest of it, Dan did a great job, right? Dan was fantastic for me in the first game against the side that was ranked 100 and odd in the world, right? And yeah, he gets pulled up with the lad that comes on as a sub. All centre-halves have got to do is edit and kick it, right? Whether you're playing for England or not. But it's looked as now that modern-day footballers have got to be in the past, like at a latter day, Alan Hansen or a Mark Lawrenson that used to play in my day and were like world class at bringing the ball forward. You know, Dan was still playing forward football in the first half. And he was up against it as regarding, like, there was nobody else breaking their neck to take the ball off Dan Burn. And I thought that the press, some of the press description of Dan Burn's performance was way out of order. You know, he should be proud that he's played for England. Whether he plays again or he plays another 20 times, good luck to Dan Burn, you know. And I was absolutely thrilled for him because I thought he was magnificent. And I thought Tuchel, he comes up with these formulas and whatever. He's not frightened to give players that he picks stick. And he stood by Dan Burn and what he said, even though he left him out of the second game. And it's in the lap of the gods whether he play again. But at least he got there. And he'll be able to stick. Well, I'll stick 2 fingers up to the press that give him stick from me.
I love it. Good stuff, Joe, as always. Prediction for tonight, then, mate?
Well, the prediction is 2-0, Steve. 2-0 to Newcastle United. And Alexander Isak will be on the score sheet, but I don't see him getting the first goal today.
All right, great stuff. Looking forward to seeing you in a couple of hours' time. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in tonight. As always, hit the little thumb up. It's the like button. Hit the subscribe button if you're a new member. Hit the share button to share it to your other social media. We will be back 6 o'clock tomorrow, looking back at the game with Gibbo. Until then, take care. Have a good night. Enjoy the game.